Anderson here. Hey, guess what? We are getting ready to do part 3 of our yarn coiling project. This is part 3, take 1. Action. Hey, welcome back. Let's see. We got a lot of people up and running now on this project, and I need to click on this button. I forgot. This is our overhead. There you go. Hey, look at that mess. Tends to get a little bit messy with yarn and string and all the stuff that we've been using. But I have the perfect class to film this in today. We're filming in second period because we have very few kids left in this class. Hey, we're going to demonstrate several things for you today. One, I want to review from yesterday how to add a new color, because there'll be a couple people that need review of that. And I think maybe Avian was going to do that with his, unless he already added his color. You already did it? Maybe Pula will let me use hers as an example. Do you need help with yours, Pula?
Kinda.
I mean, I could show it on TV.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll do that in just a second. And there'll be a couple other things we'll do. Hey, let's go over there and demo.
I lost my needle back.
I got a new needle. Let me get a needle. Let's get Pula a new needle, and you guys will demonstrate changing a color on hers real quick. All right, I'll be back. I'll be right over. I'll be right over there. There we go. I couldn't see where my camera was. All right.
I messed up right here.
Don't worry. That's perfect. I can fix it because I can fix it on film. Okay, guys. Now, hey, there it is. Hey, I got a new needle for Pula here. I'm going to see, it's always good. I keep telling people that if there's mistakes, that's not a bad thing. These are things that I can fix, show you how to fix it, and maybe you'll learn from the mistake, right? So don't feel bad if something looks messed up, right? Okay, now here's the thing on here, I think. Remember, we want to wrap around the new yellow color with the old white. And here, she has tried to just kind of connect those together. Could that work? Absolutely, that could work. But to make it as neat as possible, what I'm going to do is unwound it and go back to our old color. So you can see here that really wasn't buried real deep. So I'm going back to this original white color. I want to unwind this just, to give us about 6 inches. So if I unwind it to the last stitch, that'll be perfect, okay? And then we'll put the yellow in underneath it, okay, the new color. So unwind it to the last stitch is right about here. I'm going to try today to be better about keeping my work under the camera. I'm going to try to look at the project less directly and more through the camera so you guys see it better. There's just little things like that I need to get better at as far as filming this stuff and you being able to see it. Okay, so remember, for review, we lay our new yarn along the core. And we need to wrap it up, leave enough yarn here of the old yarn. In other words, do this early enough so you have enough yarn to wrap this thing up about 5 times or so and to give it a stitch. Okay, so we're going to get around here about 5 times. Now, you can see Pula does more spins between stitches. It's looser. That's okay. This is perfect the way it is. So if I want to match that and I don't want to get this too tight because she's been looser and I want it to be her project, right? Rather than my usual 5 in a stitch, I'll go ahead and go a few more just so it matches what she's got going. Okay, and I have enough string to do that. I really need to make my stitch before the string's shorter than the needle. That's the important part. So one more turn. I'll give it a stitch. And now, you guys, if you can see under here, let's just pull this back around. Let's get a close look. The yellow yarn is underneath. It's buried under that white, okay? So now I'll switch the needle over to the yellow, all right? And I will lay the white yarn right along the core now and just begin to wrap up the core like usual. And while I'm doing that, this end of the white is going to be buried. So both, in other words, both ends will be buried and not be able to come unraveled. Okay. So once again, I'll try and match her amount of turns, which seems quite a bit more than 5. Give it a stitch for her, and then she is off and running, right? She's back in business. Okay. Now the thing will be, is she ready to coil? Oh, she is. All right, here you go. And let's talk about another example. Thank you. Thank you for letting me use it as an example. Okay, you guys, now that was my adding a color. Hey, let's talk about manipulating a shape. Okay, I showed you this one yesterday. And you guys, I turned the corner on it, right? I had it flat like a coaster, and I turned the corner on it. That is something that you really, I do that by changing where I'm holding it, okay? If I want to make this flare back out, when I'm giving it its stitches, when I'm, stitching it, I'll need to hold it out, here if I want it to flare back out. If I want it to close up more, I'll hold it in here. Now, one thing I will say, and this goes right to the example of Piola's there, if it's loose on the stitching, it might be harder. It's going to be harder to make it turn into a bowl, okay? But you could still do it. But it's just kind of as you're holding on to it, if you hold it flat, against the outside edge, it'll end up flat. If I'm holding it and I kind of hold it up, in this case, I turned it right on the edge. I held the next row right on the edge of it. So as I'm stitching it, I put it where I want it. And then once I get around once, it's not flat anymore, okay? It doesn't happen instantly, by the way. It happens after, a good going all the way around. Now, you guys, another one, I need to see of my students here if, let's see here, here's an example. Let's just do a couple turns on this real quick. This one is Kalia's, I believe. And, whoop, sorry about the mess. I have a lot of students. You guys that are quarantined know that there are probably over 100 people coiling. By the way, you guys at home, if you were not able to find any yarn, I totally understand. Okay? If you couldn't find a core, I totally understand. And I think I mentioned yesterday you could do some free drawing or something. But I also mentioned that this is a good time to be creative, right? And I think I showed you, whoa, sorry, I got, sometimes this core gets a little fur in there. Hey, by the way, I want to show you in a minute how it's going on my alternative material coiling project. Remember, as I was imagining, what if I didn't have a needle? What if I didn't have any yarn? What if I didn't have any of this stuff? What could I coil with? I'll show you in a minute how that's going because I worked on it a little bit more. Hey, by the way, what I was talking about earlier, manipulating this. If I keep making these coils go around the outside edge, I could keep this flat. until it's a coaster or a trivet or, whatever you want. If I start, as I'm stitching it, if I start pushing this up like this, then it starts to change direction. I can make it into a bowl or a different shape, okay? Now, one other thing I need to demonstrate, but I might not be able to demonstrate today, is adding a new core piece. Okay, you can see on this one there's no need for that. We still got several feet. But I had one student last period who had already used up a whole wingspan's worth of the jute. And I did demonstrate for the class how to do that. Now, I really don't think anybody in this class is to that point yet, so we probably won't get to demo that today. But let me go ahead and show you where we're at on our alternative materials project. Okay, so you're there at home and you're thinking, I really want to do this art project because I love the idea of doing this art project from home, remote, right? You're like, oh, stuck there at remote. And here, if you remember from yesterday, here is my needle I made out of a paper clip. We talked about it in class, every class actually, and some mentioned that you can make it out of a piece of wire. You can make it out of a bobby pin. There's all kinds of things you can make this needle out of. Is it perfect? No. It snags occasionally, especially on my plastic. Remember, I'm making it with plastic, right? So let's put the needle back onto my plastic. Look how far I've gotten. Hey, so right here is, hey, by the way, look, it's just plastic. And then I wind it up a little bit here and put it through the needle. It's not a perfect science, but man, look what you end up with, right? Look what you end up with. So here, the core, I think I told you yesterday, the core of this thing is the handles. Let me show you how I cut it. Let me go get a bag. Just a second. Okay, you guys, I'm back. All right, so this is just an old Kroger bag. I lay it out here, and right here I kind of lay out, stretch out the handle end, and I've been cutting that handle off like this. Hey, quiet on set, girls and boys. Over on this other side, I do the same thing. Stretch out the handle and cut that off. I've been using those real long handle sides as the core. Okay? In other words, it takes the place of the jute. And I wrap around that. Now what's left here is a piece of plastic. I'm going to cut it long ways in half. Cut it into 2 strips. Okay? And right there, I got my strips. Got a couple strips. Set those to the side. Hey, let's add a new piece. So what I'm going to do, you can see I'm getting pretty short on this piece. And it might be a little bit confusing compared to jute and yarn being different colors. But I think you could do it. Here's my core I've been wrapping around. I'm going to go ahead and lay my new piece strip of plastic along with the core, just like we do with the yarn, and wrap around it about 5 times. Okay. Is it a little bit trickier than the yarn? Yes. The core is not as thick as our jute, but I can make it work. Okay. Give it a few turns. I don't know if I gave it 4 or 3 there. Hey, my needle's a little longer than my normal needle. So, if you're at home and you have this and you're thinking, man, I wish my needle was shorter, maybe you have some wire cutters. You could snip the end of this thing off. You really could. Here, I've kind of worn out the end of this. I'll go ahead, just like we do with the yarn, pull my new color over, put it onto the end of my makeshift needle. Okay. And put my old strip along the core and start wrapping. So see, the changing the plastic is the exact same as changing the yarn. Okay. Now, another thing, this morning I was sitting there cleaning out my truck a little bit, and I saw a yellow bag. I don't know, is that dollar store or Dollar General has yellow bags? And I thought about it. I think I might have mentioned this yesterday. If I would have collected, if I would have thought about this before, and you might be thinking this at home, you could change the colors if you got like Walmart bags and kind of prepped a bunch of blue strips and then prepped a bunch of tan ones, and then really there's, like Dollar General has yellow bags. Each place has different colors. Menards has white bags with green. Everywhere has different colors. So you could kind of cut your strips and coordinate just like some people are doing with the yarn, and have this particular project colorful. Now my plan is today I'm going to continue working on this, and I'm hoping that tomorrow I could show you a great example of how it's going. Usually on Fridays we play drawies and stuff, but tomorrow we're not going to, because we're heavy into this project right now, and there's a lot of people at home quarantined, probably waiting for the video every day. So tomorrow my plan is to film again for you guys. I think that tomorrow I'll at least have an example or two where I could show you how to add new core. On this one, if anybody at home is making one out of baggies, adding the core is really easy. I just take a piece of the core plastic, lay it on there with the rest of it, and start wrapping it up. It's that easy. On the ones where we actually use this jute, I tend to go in here and thin these out, take a snip off of one, like kind of unwind it, snip one of them off, unwind the other side, snip one off, and then put it together and wind it together so there's not a big lump. But I'm not really, on this plastic, it might be a touch lumpy here and there, but I don't think, in the end, you're not going to notice it. In the end, I'm hoping that I'll have a project that people will wonder, until they're right up next to it, they're not even going to know it's made out of Payless bags, right? So, it's just an interesting thing to do with material that, at least at my house, tends to just pile up. I don't have enough uses for all the plastic bags that we have. Now, you guys, I think I'll end the video there because I am ready to splice. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the one thing about this bag is you end up splicing or adding new yarn all the time. And I shouldn't call it yarn, it's strips. I end up adding new strips constantly. Now, I'm going to end the video, and you guys, of course, don't forget to like and all that stuff. Just a second, I'll tell you about that in a second. I got to add the new strip now that I started, and I'll continue working on this today. I'm not sure if it's going to end up, I just can't tell you what it's going to end up. I know I mentioned yesterday, I think, thinking about making it into a hat. I thought about making it into a container for all the bags in my garage. Maybe it could be both. Who knows? Hey, but just keep going. I'm really excited to see what kind of things you guys at home come up with, to be creative and come up with your own coiling project. And I know at least one student, a parent, came to pick up supplies. I had another couple kids that picked up supplies before they left. I have plenty of the yarn and stuff. Now the bags, I'm the only one doing the bag project right now, that I know of. Hey, if you are doing one at home out of bags, send me a picture, okay? Send me a picture. I could show it on our video here. Here we go. I'll stop right there for now. Um, I'll stop right there. Let me. Uh-oh. Now, you guys, let me go ahead and sign off. Here we go. Hey, there we go. All right. I'm going to sign off here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to send me a picture if you're working on one at home. I'd love to show it off and show everybody how you are working at home. All right. So have a great day. Hope everybody's healthy out there. And yeah, stay healthy. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the video. Have a great day. See ya.